Enter your text: the $5 dilemma. When Ontario's fixed pensions can't buy a healthy meal. The supermarket aisles in Ontario are a silent battleground. For many people, navigating the brightly lit shelves is simply a routine chore. But for a growing cohort of seniors, those whose sole income relies on fixed monthly pension benefits, it is a weekly, humiliating exercise in triage. As the cost of living continues its relentless climb across the province, nowhere is the squeeze more acutely felt than in the grocery cart of a pensioner. For this demographic, the soaring price of produce, protein, and staples isn't an annoyance to be absorbed. It is a direct threat to dignity and, critically, to health. The math of survival. Inflation is a percentage, but to people on a fixed income, it is a deficit. Consider Mrs. Helen Dimitrov, 82, who lives in a modest apartment in Ottawa. Her monthly income, largely derived from Old Age Security, OAS, and the Guaranteed Income Supplement, GIS, covers rent, basic utilities, and essential medication. What remains, often only a few $100s, must stretch across 30 or 31 days of meals. When the price of a dozen eggs jumps 25% in a year, or the cost of chicken breasts becomes prohibitive, Helen's budget doesn't simply tighten. It breaks. Unlike a working household that might pivot by cutting discretionary spending, a pensioner's budget has virtually no elasticity left. The irony is cruel. The very foods necessary to maintain good health in later life, lean protein, fresh fruits, and nutrient-dense vegetables, are precisely the items that have become economically unattainable. The humiliation of choice. The struggle manifests in the grocery store as a series of forced, unhealthy compromises. This is the reality of the $5 dilemma. 1. Volume over nutrition. The fixed income forces a cognitive shift from fueling the body to merely filling the stomach. A bag of inexpensive pasta or a box of high-sodium, low-fiber crackers offers greater caloric volume for the dollar than a head of broccoli or a package of lean ground beef. 2. The protein problem. Protein is often the first casualty. Seniors need adequate protein to maintain muscle mass and prevent frailties, yet meat and dairy are luxury goods on this income level. Consequently, meals rely heavily on starches and cheaper, heavily processed canned goods, which are often swimming in salt and preservatives. 3. The produce substitution. Fresh produce spoils quickly and demands an upfront investment. Many seniors are forced to rely on canned or frozen options, which are better than nothing, but often lack the full spectrum of vitamins and enzymes available in fresh food. More often, the produce section is simply skipped to ensure bills are paid, and quote, you look at the price of berries, and you just walk away, and quote, says Richard, a 75-year-old living in Mississauga. And quote, I know I should be eating better than soup and toast, but when you have to choose between a bottle of medicine and a good cut of fish, the choice is made for you, and quote. The domino effect on healthcare. The struggle to afford healthy food is not just a personal tragedy. It is a looming societal cost. A diet dominated by poor nutrition directly elevates the risk of chronic diseases common in older age, high blood pressure, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, and weakened immune function. When seniors cannot afford the nutritional building blocks needed to manage these existing conditions, they become more fragile, leading to increased doctor visits, longer hospital stays, and a greater strain on Ontario's already stressed healthcare system. In essence, Poverty-induced malnutrition acts as a revolving door to the emergency room, a far more expensive outcome than ensuring adequate food security in the first place. Beyond the pension check, a crisis of dignity. This situation extends beyond mere economics. It touches on the fundamental question of how we value the generation that built our communities. For many Ontarians, retirement was supposed to be a time of reduced stress, not elevated anxiety over basic sustenance. The constant, gnawing fear of running out of money before the month is over, a condition known as financial insecurity fatigue, takes a vast toll on mental health, amplifying feelings of isolation and hopelessness. Addressing this crisis requires more than just acknowledging the struggle, it demands systemic and immediate action. Targeted food subsidies. Exploring programs that specifically subsidize essential, healthy foods, like produce and protein, for low-income seniors, perhaps through specialized benefit cards. Pension adequacy review. A realistic reassessment of how inflation is calculated and applied to fixed pension benefits to ensure adjustments truly keep pace with the accelerating costs of necessities. Community support, reinforcing and funding local food banks and senior meal programs that offer culturally appropriate, nutrient-dense food options. The silence of a senior walking past the fresh foods they know they desperately need is the sound of a community failing its most vulnerable. Until food security is treated as a foundational determinant of health and dignity, the $5 dilemma will continue to shadow the lives of pensioners across Ontario, forcing them to pay an unacceptable price for simple survival.